Hello, friends. Hello, creative hands, creative heart, creative minds. I'm making this Senegalese Zara. Is a open roof Senegalese. I know one thing with this Senegalese Zaras. They are the designs behind is usually like very bogus. Okay, so I'll show you all we need to use now. We start with MAKO, and the measurement of the MAKO that I will be using is 3 inches by 18. So the length is 18, and then the width, which is the height, is 3 inches. Okay, the reason why I'm using 18 is because there's going to be elastic at the back, and then the width of 3 is just perfect. It's not going to be too high, it's not going to be too low. Okay, so but if you want it higher than what I have, of course you can work with 4 inches. Okay, because this was already 4 inches before. I have to take out 1 inch from it so that it can be 3 inches. Okay, so whatever height that you chose is perfect, but just ensure that your length is 18. Don't go beyond 18, except you want to make it a covered cap, that is as in you do not want to add elastic to the back. So the first thing I'll do after cutting the size of the MAKO that is needed, and also ensuring that every part of my MAKO is smooth, because that one is very important. Ensuring that every part of it is smooth is very important as well. So after I am done with these processes of making sure it's smooth, this is the height I want to use and all of that, I'm going to cut out my fabric, that is my material that I want to use. And of course you can use any material for this work. You can do scuba, you can do damask, you can do satin, anything. Okay, so the length of the material I am going to use is going to be 30 inches. 30 inches because I need extra on both sides. Remember, the MAKO is 18, so from 30, if you take away 18, you will be having 12 left. That 12 will allow me to give a space of 6 inches on the left and 6 inches on the right, while the MAKO will sit in between. Okay, so when you place it, of course you can use glue, that is, you can do a liquid glue. You can use a liquid glue to fix it, or you can sew. The reason I'm sewing is because I will still work on top of this MAKO, so there's no need trying to be too careful with, I don't want to see thread on it and all of that. The thread is not going to show, so that's why I have to sew. I did not use glue. Okay, and of course remember that once you use hot glue to touch it, you cannot sew it, so I just sew it directly. So your choice of either using glue or sewing is yours. If you use glue and you sit it properly, it's going to be very okay. All right, if you want to sew as well, ensure that you sew and you stretch your material in a way that it will sit properly. There will be no wrinkles on it. You understand? It will be smooth, because that smoothness is needed, especially on the first part of the base, like what I am showing to you now. Then we will now go ahead and wrap the other side. Don't mind me, I was just trying to explain something there. So we'll just go ahead and wrap the other side, that is, we fold it. As we are folding this time, this very side now, you see that I did not fold everything at once. So if you know that you are very very special and you have become so talented in it, you can fold at once. I cannot fold at once. I used to fold my own twice. So if I'm sewing, all right, I fold my own twice. So by the time I'm folding the last part, I use the opportunity to pull the fabric very tight, so not too tight that it will start to fold your MAKO anyway, but pull it tight in such a way that by the time you are looking at the face of the MAKO, that is the front, that's what I mean by the face, it will be very smooth. So you don't just sew for sewing sake and you have some of your materials climbing on other ones, or you pull it to the extent that your MAKO now will now start folding and unable to stand straight. It's not fair like that. Look at my own, is well seated. Now we have some extra material. This extra material at the middle is deliberate because we need it to be able to cover the elastic that we are going to be using, and that's why I did not cut it out, but I'm going to cut it as we progress in the class. All right, I will cut it, but for now I'm not cutting it. I will just make sure that I fix my elastic. Now your elastic, I was supposed to show two methods of fixing this elastic, especially when you just want to use a short one at once. What you are supposed to do, I don't know. Let's go ahead first because the video is going to be lengthy when we try to explain too much. But I think it's better we explain so that when you want to make your own, you will get the understanding at once instead of wondering, what did she do in this part, what did she do in this part, and after watching the video you are stranded and you are unable to make a good production. Me, I don't like that one. I want a situation whereby when you watch my video you'll be able to produce. That's just what I want. Okay, so we fix the elastic inside and then we use the office pin to hold it down. It's too elastic. I used to fix in my own. I when I fix one, eh I always feel that it's not balanced. One part will be like gathering too much of too much material and all of that. So for me, it's a thing of choice. You can fix one, but for me I usually fix two, top and down, so that by the time I pull it together it will be balanced and well seated. And then when I'm decorating, and then I am sewing, I will be sewing on top of one of the elastic, while the second elastic I will not touch it, so that that is the bottom elastic. I will not touch it so that it will allow for freedom of movement of the cap. It will allow the cap to be free to open and sit on the head, because when you sew on it, it will gather the material again and now reduce the elasticity of the cap, and you don't want that one to happen. So but it's a thing of choice. You can decide to just fix one elastic. It's not compulsory that you fix two elastic. So I'll fix the elastic for both sides. Of course, if you watch carefully you see that I have to demarcate the middle of the elastic by running my stitches through the middle of the elastic. While I run the stitches through, I also ensured that I do not make the mistake of sewing on any of the edge of the elastic, so that by the time I want to pull it, I can easily pull it out, and then when I'm done pulling it out I will not top stitch it. So now I'm going to sew both the top and the bottom. Of course I've sewn the bottom before, so now that I am done pulling it I will now sew the top. After that I will cut out the excess elastic from it. All right. So the second method I normally do is that if I do not want to waste my elastic, remember I said on the left and on the right we have 6 inches. Okay, so for you to easily see your elastic and pull it out, you also need about 6 inches of elastic. That one is a waste. You can see what I'm cutting out now. So it's possible that you cut just 3 inches of elastic, just 3 inches, and place inside. But then when you want to do that, you are going to use your safety pin to hold the elastic tip. So you just fix your safety pin inside. Now I'm fixing my safety pin inside. So by the time you finish sewing it like this, your 3 inches elastic will be inside. All right, so it will not be too much when you are cutting out the excess one. So the 3 inches elastic will be inside. Remember your safety pin is inside. That safety pin will help you to easily bring out the short elastic instead of trying to battle with how do I bring it out and all of that. So because you already introduced the safety pin at the beginning, it will help you to pull out the elastic, and with that you will not need to waste too much of your elastic as you walk. I hope this tip helps you. Okay. Oh, okay. So the next thing we'll do is that we'll close it. We are going to close the cap. That is the Zara. Will close it. When you want to close it, you will close it the way you close turban. Normally, we close our turban with 10.5 inches or highest 11 inches. For me, I will advise that you close it with 10.5, because Zara needs to sit and be firm on the head. There's no chances for it being too free. Once it's free, it's not going to give the fitting that it ought to give. So I usually prefer closing with 10.5, and of course, because there is elastic inside, 10.5 can stretch and fit into 12, as in somebody with 24, it can sit on the person's head. All right, so you just go ahead and close it with 10.5 and it's perfect. And when you are done closing as well, you can go ahead and use your interlock machine and weave it. So it's a thing of choice also if you want to weave or not. But for a good delivery, that is for a very good finishing, a professional look, I will advise that you weave it and use same color of your thread to weave it for a professional work. Okay. So after we are done making the cap, it will now be time for us to begin to create those pleats. So for you to do that, you are going to cut out a separate material. That material can be like 28 by 20, or if you like, you can do 28 by 28, because at the end of the day, you will cut out whatever seems to be the extra material that you do not need. So the first thing you will do is to sew it down the way I'm doing now. That is, you turn the right side facing the cap, and then you start by holding it down to the cap. If you want to be fast, to me, I do not advise that. You can just use your hot glue to glue it to the cap straight. Okay. And then what you can continue every other thing you are doing with your hot glue if you wish. But for me, I prefer to sew. I normally sew my own. Because I always believe that the glue can always like give way sometime, but if you tack it down, it will last. Okay, so we sew it down like this. We just sew it down from beginning to the end, but we are not going to be sewing it on the part with elastic. So please take note of that. That is, when you sew now, you will stop before the elastic. Okay, do not sew into the elastic. Stop before the elastic. So then we are now going to cut out chest warding or breast tube. You can use chest warding, you can use breast tube. Like what I did now was to cut out 1 inch of breast tube. All right. So what we do, we continue to wrap the breast tube inside the material step by step. You will wrap the breast tube inside the material step by step. Wrap the breast tube oh god oh, step by step inside the material. Do you get me? Okay, so when you put the breast tube inside, you use the material to cover it. It will look like when you are creating a pleat. Do you understand? So you will determine the distance between each of the pleats, like the base and the first breast tube that I introduced now. I chose how far apart I want them to be. So that's what you will do for all of them. So for my own, I created about, I think, 4 or 5 plates. You can create 3, you can just create 2. It's whatever you want to do. Then again, because it's a Senegalese inspired Zara, you can make it thicker than what I have there now. For instance, you can double your breast tube, like the 1 inch now. Cut 1 inch into 2 places, top stitch it or glue it together, and wrap it, so it will be more pronounced, it will be more bold, than just using one. But whichever decision you want to make as a creator, your decision solemnly, how dey take speak this English now? Oh god, oyibo na wahala. The decision is yours, the choice is yours, don't mind me. Okay, so this is how we are going to continue to the very end. Don't be in a rush. There's a part of it that will show you clearly what I am doing. While I was recording, my camera actually went off. So because of that, I was not able to get a very good coverage. But later, I discovered that I actually had a good coverage. So please, you see what I just did? For you to introduce a new one, you will fold the material back the same way you used to stitch it before. Then you will now introduce the whatever, the chest wording or your breast tube, and then you will now cover it. When you cover it, you will now ensure that it's smooth. Make sure that you work on it is smooth, straighten every part of it, and then you sew it down. Some people that want it very very fast, sharp sharp, ozugbo ozugbo, they will glue it. Me, I don't used to do that kind of work. Oh, I don't want to glue. Sew it, please. Sew it. Don't do ozugbo ozugbo work. Don't glue it. Sew it. So you'll be working with your hand needle until you are done with all the parts that you need to pleat. Okay. So I want to use this opportunity to remind you that we have started our channel membership. The channel membership gives opportunity to all subscribers and viewers of Creative Events International who wishes to sponsor our channel in one way or the other. Close to the subscription button, you will see a new button showing in your gadgets, all right, that is indicating join. Once you click on that new button join, is going to lead you to the page where you will be asked to choose the level you want to belong. That level you choose is going to determine how far you want to support us, and YouTube has made it compulsory that we provide a kind of benefit to all our members. Even though they are supporting us out of their free will, there should be a kind of benefit that is specially made for them. So I will encourage you to please join our channel membership as a way of supporting Creative Ends International, so that we can bring more and better videos your way. And please do tell other people to also join. Thank you very much to all those persons that have taken out time to go through the process of joining our channel membership, and they are now bona fide members of Creative Ends International. I so much appreciate you. I am not taking it for granted. Thank you very much. And for those that are willing to join, please go through the process carefully, and before you know it, you would have become a member. Some persons ask me if they can pay to my account so that they can be members. You cannot pay to my account because this platform is completely controlled by YouTube itself. So except YouTube add you, I cannot add you. So you have to do all that you will do to make sure that it is YouTube that is adding you. And as you do that, I'm so glad. God bless you. Thank you very much. So now that we are done with the creating the pleat, of course, if you look at it now, you know it's not an empty pleat, and every part of the pleat we created is obvious. Now I told you before that the material should not go into or interfere with the elastic. So that's why you see that I'm actually stopping it close to the elastic, cut off the excess part. I use loose stitches to put it together, and then I will pull it together. When I do that, it's going to match what I have just done to the elastic, so it will be difficult for you to even say that there is one rough work here. And remember that even the design we are going to be putting on it is going to cover it. But then for a very good presentation, good finishing, it's necessary that you have to go through it like this. So the part that you are cutting off, you can decide to carefully weave it. You can decide to smoke it with your lighter, or you can decide to hem it inward. Okay, but what I just did was to just cut. By the time you cut, you can smoke it. Even if you don't smoke it, it will still be neat because you are cutting it very close to the part where you are going to pull it. So by the time you do that, it's not, the rough part will not be obvious at all. And the reason we are doing it like this is so that we will give the elastic the chance it needs to stretch. All right, because if you sew it on top of the elastic, it will be interfering with the elasticity of that elastic itself, so it's not going to allow it to stretch to its full uh is it capacity. To not be able to stretch to its full capacity. So end it before that place and cut it out. That's how I do my own. Other professionals might have better ways of doing it, but for now, this is what I do. If I am creating any style that I need to go across the elastic, then I have to ensure that that particular part where I'm crossing through the elastic is the part that will carry the design. Don't worry, if I'm doing any sample like that, I will bring it to you. You know I love you people so much, so I don't hide anything from you, except the fact that I have to give different content to my members. And that's why some of my videos, you might see the pictures, you might see it on the short feed, and it's not available to public. We just have to give a kind of benefit to our members to make them feel special. And of course, every one of you are special, in short. But my members, thank you. So to create that back, I used um breast tube. Breast tube is stronger than chest wording, but sincerely from my heart, I would have loved to use Crillone. I wanted to go and buy Crillone. I was not able to get it. So by the time I got to the place and the person was not readily available, I just left, and I couldn't buy it, and I needed to make the tutorials. Hence I had to use um breast tube, but it came out sha. But if you want to do your own, I will advise that you use acrylic. The reason is that acrylic is light. Do you understand? The weight of acrylic is light compared to breast tube. So I prefer acrylic. So please do work with 6 inches acrylic. Ensure that it is smooth, okay, and you will get a very good uh delivery by the time you are done. You can top stitch it to create design, on the tip. I did that for one part of it, okay, and then you can put it together. If you do not want to put it together to pull, is fine, but I put mine together to pull it. And of course, the length I use this 30 inches, 30 inches of the chest wording. But if you want to do something more than that, you can go for 35 inches. I don't think 40 inches is necessary, but 30, between 30 and 35 is perfect. Okay, so I pulled it together, and after that I went ahead and sew it to the back of the Zara. I did not use any embellishment or roses to cover, but you are supposed to cover it. Oh, please, you cannot leave that part open like that. So you can create your roses by yourself and use to cover it, or you can just use like sugar pouch or any other kind of pouch, any other kind of embellishment to cover that back there. But I did not cover my own for the purpose of the tutorials. I know that I was going to explain to you that you need to cover it, hence I did not cover. So that's all. Oh, that's all for today's training. Thank you very much. Love you. Bye.